If you had asked me 7 weeks ago to point out Montenegro on a map, I am not sure I could have. Let me rewind a bit.
Montenegro. Even the name sounds like it should belong to a fairy tale. But the truth is, until a few months ago, it was just a blank spot in my mind. A place I'd maybe heard mentioned once or twice, but never really thought about. That's the thing about travel. It has a way of pulling you toward the unfamiliar, toward the places you know nothing about. And that's what happened here. A few clicks, a few random videos, and suddenly I was planning a trip to a country I could barely point to on a map.
Not so long ago, I was watching a Yes Theory video. If you don't know who Yes Theory is, they are a YouTube channel that explores the idea of seeking discomfort and saying yes. I'm a big fan of Yes Theory, and I was thinking to myself, you know what, I haven't said yes in a while.
That simple thought, I haven't said yes in a while. That was the spark. We all get caught in routine. Same streets, same conversations, same safe choices. And I'd realized I'd been coasting, watching other people push their boundaries on YouTube while mine were quietly shrinking. So I started asking, what if I said yes to something that felt a bit uncomfortable? What if I went somewhere I'd never been, where I didn't know the language, and where I didn't know a single person? That is how Montenegro entered my story. Montenegro is a small Balkan nation tucked between Croatia, Bosnia, Serbia, Kosovo, and Albania. A country of just 600,000 people. In one direction, you'll find the Adriatic Sea and medieval stone towns clinging to the coast. In the other, rugged mountains that look like they belong on a movie set. Most travelers head south to Kotor, Budva, or the beaches, but I was drawn north into the mountains, toward a place I'd only seen in photographs, Žabljak, a tiny town in the Durmitor highlands and the farm that would become my home for a few days.
And I thought, wouldn't it be cool if I could end up in the mountains of Montenegro? Wouldn't that be cool? And now 6 weeks later, here I am.
The thing about saying yes is that it rarely takes you where you expect. In my case, it led me to one of the most tranquil, surprising, and welcoming places I'd ever been. This video is all about slowing down. It's about stepping into a different rhythm of life and discovering what happens when you say yes to the unknown.
I went on Airbnb and I found this incredible little place called Charming Pony. And I was just absolutely entranced by the photos, the general vibe of the place on Airbnb. And it was super affordable.
I wasn't looking for luxury. I wasn't even really looking for a destination. What caught me was the feeling. The chance to live, even if briefly, in the rhythms of a family farm in the mountains. The listing had ponies, wide meadows, and this promise of simplicity that felt so different to my life back here at home.
So that's where this all began. And then I ended up creating a couple-week trip out of it. I am staying here for 3 days, and in the first hour that I've been here, it's already exceeded all my expectations. I was greeted by the aunt and mother of the host. Immediately I was given some slippers to wear in the house and offered tea.
Hospitality here doesn't come wrapped in brochures or staged for tourists. It starts with small gestures. Slippers so your feet are warm, tea before you even put your bag down. A kind of welcome that says, you're not a stranger here, you're part of the household now.
I was plopped on the couch watching cartoons with the kids as the mom and aunt worked away at some food. Immediately, I feel like I'm already, just visiting someone's family, and I can't wait to see how these next few days are going to go.
That moment, cartoons are on in the background, there's food sizzling in the kitchen. That was when it all really sank in. I hadn't just booked a farm stay, but I'd really booked myself into a family's life.
Can you translate this question? Has she always lived on this farm?
Sure, in Montenegrin you can say Da li oduvek živela na ovoj farmi?
Da.
The aunt and mother spoke very little English, but that didn't matter. Laughter, hand gestures, shared meals, they're universal. And in some ways, the language barrier makes the experience richer. It forces you to slow down, to really pay attention, to notice the warmth in someone's eyes instead of just their words.
I decided to say yes to something, to go out of my way and do something, solo, go stay at someone's home, and I'm happier than I could have imagined.
The farm itself feels like something out of a painting. Rolling hills stitched with wildflowers, birds cutting across the sky, ponies grazing in the distance. There's a quiet hum to the place, like everything here is in balance, the people, the animals, and the land. It's a different kind of beauty than a famous landmark or a postcard beach. It's quieter, but deeper. The kind that sneaks up on you when you're sitting on the porch, hearing the clink of dishes from the kitchen, watching the light shift across the fields.
Okay, the question I want to ask is, how long have you lived on the farm and in this area?
Koliko dugo živite na farmi I u ovom području?
Ja na farmi I na ovom području živim više nego 15 godina. Moj brat I snaha se bave sa farmerstvom. Oni imaju stoku, vidjeli ste punu farmu, kokoši, ćurki, patki, golubova, morki. Imamo 3 plastenika, u njemu uzgajamo I lubenicu, paprike, paradajz, krastavac. Imamo 2 bašte sa krompirom. Tako imamo svega ovdje, oni to rade oko toga vrijedno, ja im samo pomažem u kuhinji kad dođu gosti. Najviše im se sviđa mir na selu, ova tišina I lijepa priroda, obožavaju životinje da vide, najviše poni, konje I vole da pogledaju šta mi uzgajamo u plastenicima I u njivi. Ja sam dugo godina radila u kancelariji u gradu I kad sam došla ovdje prosto se odmaram I uživam na selu. Sve mi se sviđa kad nema gužve I toga života u nekakvoj trci.
These farms aren't just businesses, they're tied to Montenegro's past. For centuries, families in these mountains lived as shepherds, moving with their animals and relying on what the land gave them. Staying here feels like brushing up against that history, but also seeing how it still carries on in everyday life. In less than a day, I had gone from total stranger to feeling like I was a part of the household. And that's the magic of places like this. You don't just pass through, you get pulled into the story. And the story, in this case, was about to take me deeper into farm life, food, and adventure. Life on the farm doesn't rush. It unfolds in small rituals. Feeding animals, preparing meals, chatting on the porch. Nothing flashy, nothing complicated, but when you're used to constant screens and schedules, this kind of slowness feels kind of radical.
This is one of the most beautiful, tranquil spots I think I've ever been. The farm is stunning. There's wildflowers everywhere, birds in the sky. There's a lot of bugs. But yeah, this is relaxing. It's giving very Sound of Music, the hills are alive. And I love that.
And it really does feel like that, like you're walking through a living soundtrack. The background noise isn't traffic or notifications, it's cowbells, the cluck of chickens, the laughter of kids running between fields, and even the silence has this certain sort of texture to it. It's not empty, but full of presence. Meals anchor the day here. Everything is farm fresh, grown nearby, or made from scratch. The aunt spends hours in the kitchen, moving with the certain ease of someone who's been going around and doing this her whole life. Every dish tells a different story. You can tell these are recipes that have been passed down with ingredients from their own animals and their own garden. Even without many shared words, the warmth is undeniable. There's a language to hospitality that doesn't need translation. An extra spoonful on your plate. The way they watch to make sure you enjoy it. The smiles exchanged across the table. The farm sits on the edge of wilderness. Step outside and you're in meadows. Wander just a little bit further and the forest swallows you whole.
The forest is absolutely immaculate. I was on a little trail through the forest that was like barely a trail at all. And I did start to get worried I was lost. And then I found a paved trail, which I guess is a road. And now a car's coming. So hopefully that means I'm not lost anymore. What a blessing.
It's a place where nature isn't scenery, it's part of your daily life. You gather wood, you walk to find your animals, you measure time by light and weather.
I am spending the morning with the mom of my homestay. There's a new baby cow that was just born, I think like a day ago. I'm pretty sure still has a bit of its umbilical cord on it. We are milking cows. By we, I mean she. We are feeding birds. We are feeding pigs. We love the farm.
This morning routine might look ordinary to them, but to me it feels like stepping back in time. The smell of hay, the sound of milk hitting a tin pail, the squeals of pigs waiting to be fed. It's messy, it's physical, and it's beautiful. There's a rhythm to it. Feed, care, repeat. You realize pretty quickly that the farm doesn't revolve around you. You have to slip into its pace. What I found here wasn't just a place to stay, it was a reminder that life doesn't need to be complicated to be fulfilling. That joy can come from something as simple as pouring homemade tea, or watching ponies graze, or helping feed animals on a chilly morning. And in that simplicity, there's a kind of peace that I didn't realize I'd been missing. But Žabljak isn't only about farm life. Just beyond the fields, the mountains rise up, and with them, the chance to explore some of Montenegro's most breathtaking wilderness.
I'm about to go on a Jeep tour adventure to go see all the hottest sites in Durmitor National Park, which is the area like all around the town here. But first I'm gonna have a delicious local homemade breakfast for my host. Yeah, I'm very excited for the day.
Durmitor National Park is the beating heart of northern Montenegro. Shaped by glaciers and carved by rivers, it's a place of jagged peaks, deep canyons, and forests that feel untouched. It's also a UNESCO World Heritage Site, protected not just for its beauty, but for its cultural history, where shepherds and mountaineers have lived for centuries.
So it's a pointy one in between those two humps. On that? Yeah, a pointy one that is a little bit further. Doesn't look like the biggest, but actually it's the tallest peak of the Montenegro as well.
Right.
2,524 meters, so pretty big one.
The park stretches across almost 400 square kilometers, with nearly 50 peaks over 2,000 meters high. The Tara River Canyon, which cuts along the edge of the park, is one of the deepest canyons in the world. Standing here, you feel small in the best possible way. That's Durmitor in a nutshell. The line between wilderness and human life is razor thin. One moment you're sure you've wandered too far, the next you stumble onto a hidden track, or a shepherd's hut, or a road that reminds you people have been navigating these mountains for centuries. Durmitor is home to bears, wolves, and lynx, although you're unlikely to see them. More often, it's eagles circling overhead, or wild horses prancing through a field, or the sound of streams weaving through the forest. In spring and summer, wildflowers cover the meadows where sheep graze. In winter, these same slopes transform into Montenegro's ski capital. For Montenegrins, these mountains aren't just scenery, they are identity. Generations of families grazed sheep here, cutting hay in the summers, moving animals between valleys.
20 or 30 years ago, there used to be 400 people living here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in the school here, there used to be 70 kids up to like 5th grade. Father of my friend used to be the teacher here, and he would come every Sunday, all this way that we pass with the jeep. He would come here with the skis on the snow, teach kids for 5 days, and every Friday he would go back with the skis to his family in town to spend the weekend with them.
The word katoon refers to the old seasonal huts they used, A-frame shelters scattered across the high pastures. Standing here, you feel that connection, land and people intertwined. For me, it was a reminder of why I travel. Not just to see sights, but to feel what it's like to stand in a place where time stretches differently. To get a little lost, to be dwarfed by mountains that will outlast me by millennia. And as wild and vast as Durmitor is, it also holds places of stillness. Lakes cradled by forest, glacial waters shimmering in the light. And so that's where I went next, to Montenegro's most famous lake in the heart of Durmitor, Black Lake.
After spending my morning on the farm, I decided to go for a very long walk. So I've been walking for, I think, about 11 or so kilometers right now. I'm about halfway done my walk for the day, and I've walked to a beautiful place called Black Lake, which is in Durmitor National Park. It's a glacial lake. It's really stunning.
Black Lake, also known as Crono Jezero in Montenegrin, is the jewel of Durmitor. Two glacial lakes connected by a narrow strait, surrounded by dense pine forest, and watched over by the mountain peaks. The water shifts color with the sky, sometimes turquoise, sometimes dark, almost black, which gives it its name. The walk to the lake is almost as beautiful as the lake itself. Paths weave through forests that feel untouched, shafts of sunlight breaking through branches, the smell of pine heavy in the air. After hours of walking, the first glimpse of the water feels like a reward, like some sort of secret has been revealed.
I'll show you a little bit of it because it's really nice. Enjoy.
Locals say the lake is enchanted. Legends tell of hidden treasures at the bottom or spirits that guard the waters. Whether you believe the stories or not, there is something undeniably mystical about this place. Stand on the shore long enough and you feel it. The stillness, the weight of silence, the sense that this lake has been here long before you and will be here long after.
Luckily, I planned ahead and I brought peach iced tea because can you imagine doing this beautiful hike and view and not having an iced tea halfway through? Impossible.
That is the balance I love about travel. On one hand, the grandeur of nature, glacial lakes, ancient forests, mountains that scrape the clouds. And on the other hand, something as small and personal as enjoying the most delicious peach iced tea on a log by the water. Both of these moments belong together. Both make the memory whole. Black Lake is a reminder that Montenegro isn't just about dramatic peaks or adrenaline adventures. Sometimes it's about stillness, about walking for hours just to sit by the water, about realizing that the simplest moments, like resting by a glacial lake with a peach iced tea in your hand, can be just as powerful as the grandest landscapes.
I am just finishing up my last morning at the farm just outside of Žabljak in Montenegro, and I have had such a relaxing, lovely, special few days here. This family is beyond hospitable, really kind, and yeah, I've just absolutely loved every moment.
When I booked this trip, I thought I was booking an Airbnb, but what I found was something closer to an adopted family. These few days reminded me that travel isn't just about landscapes or bucket list destinations, it's always about connection, about sharing food, sharing laughter, and realizing how much kindness exists even when you don't speak the same language.
And even though there is a language barrier, that doesn't really stop you from, being able to engage and have really nice conversations. And you can always use a translation app. So I'll be sad to leave, but I'm really happy I came.
That is what I'm going to carry with me. Not just the taste of homemade cheese or the walks through the fields of wildflowers, but the way a smile bridges any gap, the way hospitality doesn't need words. It's easy to think of travel as escape, from work, from stress, from the familiar. But here I am reminded that it can also be a return to simplicity, to presence, to the small joys we often overlook.
I think the only thing that has mattered to me during my few days here has been finding peace and tranquility in such an idyllic place and slowing down a bit. By slowing down, I mean I still was walking like dozens of kilometers, but finding just like joy in the quiet. Also, pigs, very important. I'm really happy I got to meet some pigs. And the food. The food actually was maybe the only thing that mattered to me while I was here. It's definitely the best food I've had on the trip so far. All in all, spectacular time.
Sometimes we chase big adventures. Other times, the most meaningful journeys happen in small, quiet places. In borrowed slippers, over steaming cups of tea, with animals wandering just outside the window. Montenegro surprised me. Not with luxury or spectacle, but with generosity. With food shared, with work done side by side, with laughter that needed no translation. And that's why saying yes matters, because yes is an open door, and sometimes what's waiting on the other side is peace, simplicity, and a reminder that the world is full of kindness, if you're willing to step into it.